Welcome back, Latin 3. So I know in class and I were talking a lot about Pliny 6.16 and how like his whole thing affects and like relates back to like the eruption of Mount Vesuvius and that whole tragedy and how the city of Pompeii was just completely destroyed. Well, I'm here to talk to you guys about how all of that is referenced in modern day things, which I know what you're thinking, Abigail. But you're crazy. There's no way that we still reference him because that was 79 AD. Like, there's no way. But believe it or not, Pliny's actually referenced in a lot of books, TV, movies, and even songs, honestly. I even have a few examples to show you guys. So the first example I have is a novel called Pompeii. It's a novel by Robert Harris, and it was actually published in 2003, which is the year a few of you guys are even born, which is crazy that it wasn't even that long ago, which is crazy to me. So basically, it's a historical fiction novel, which basically means it takes the original story of Mount Vesuvius and its eruption, but it makes it its own a little bit. So basically, it's set a few days before the eruption, so like the main characters and all that, they're trying to get like water to like this shrouded place and also do a few things before the eruption happens, and they're trying to stop it and clog the top of Mount Vesuvius so it won't erupt. And I also find that it's pretty cool that they get help from Pliny the Elder, which I think it's honestly pretty cool that the author put Pliny the Elder in here because Pliny the Elder is obviously an important character. And yeah, the story also references the Roman calendar, so I also found that pretty interesting about the novel. But yeah, it definitely talks a lot about the eruption. So my next example is actually both art and a book, but I'm going to be talking more about the art. So this is it right here, pretty gloomy. This is called The Last Days of Pompeii. It's a historical painting by Karl Brogliev from 1830 to 1833 is from when he worked on it, which you can tell it took some time. But actually, the funny thing about that is it inspired Edward Lytton to write the book based on this painting in 1834, which I found pretty fascinating. Like, this painting inspired this man to write a whole book about the last days of Pompeii, and they're both named the same thing. So this painting, obviously, as you can see, it has a dark tone to it. It has all that, but I'll explain that later. So this was worked on for several years, and soon, once it finished, it started touring around France and Russia. But as soon as it hit its first exhibit, people went crazy over it. They really liked it, and they thought it was pretty interesting, so it was pretty popular. And once it made its way back to Russia, or to Russia, I should say, but then back to its home, where it came from, the artist and the painting definitely got the credit they deserved, and they got a lot of praise for it. So to like the gloominess and stuff like that, they definitely did that like on purpose. You can see in the Latin, for example, on lines 150 to 151, which starts with Iam Novibus. Now ash was falling on the ships, warmer and denser. Now pumice stones also blackened and scorched, and rocks broken by fire. You can tell that like this perfectly represents the picture and vice versa. Like, it's pretty good. He knew like the pumice would be around the air and like all over and just completely destroying the city of Pompeii. And also in lines 130 to 133, it starts with Nubes. The clouds were rising, uncertain to those looking at a distance from which mountain it was to have been Vesuvius, after whose likeness and form it expressed more like a pine than any other tree. Which again, you can tell like the clouds in the sky like up there are rising and they're black, and it's just a good visual I think to have when reading 6.16. So even though Pliny was written a long time ago and the eruption definitely happened a long time ago, we still talk about it and we read and see about it in our everyday lives in modern things.